Is Wayfinder a game you should try? Is this a contender of your time? Now, this is a legitimate question right now in 2023 because we have had banger after banger, and this just may go down as one of the best years of gaming ever. But there are some itches that even great games can't scratch. And for me, guys, it's MMORPGs. There's just something about them, man. Those are the type of games that will pull you in and never let go. And I think for the most of us, when it's a good one, we're okay with that. We want that. Question is, does Wayfinder offer that? From its artistic style to its gameplay loop to its world and areas to explore, does Wayfinder have that it? Let me just say that this game has the foundation. It truly does. It also has some big names behind, such as Airship Syndicate in partnership with Digital Extremes. Now, you may recognize those names from none other than Warframe, which is still a top contending game in the MMO category. Now, given those facts, we knew we had to try out Wayfinder. And this is just a little taste of what we experienced during our time in early access. Also, big shout out to Wayfinder for sponsoring today's video. This, though, is more or less our first impressions. And as this game continues to evolve, we will be revisiting Wayfinder, seeing where this game sits. We want it to succeed. We think it has a good foundation, truly. But with these first impression videos, I really do want to go over both those strengths and weaknesses. Now, the setting of Wayfinder begins with your character waking up in an area that has been heavily corrupted by gloom, which is essentially a hostile force that has corrupted the world of Evanor. Classic! Now from here, you can choose one of three characters: Wingrave, Silo, or Nis. Now each of these Wayfinders will have their own subset of weapons and abilities that are unique to that Wayfinder. Now we chose Silo. We just came off of playing Remnant 2, so I felt like Silo was kind of up our alley. But upon picking your Wayfinder, you'll then be introduced to Skylight, which essentially acts as the central hub of the game. Here we were able to advance our main quests, as well as pick up side quests, access lost sectors, sell artifacts that we picked up along the way, craft new weapons, craft artifacts. You even have access to housing in this area. And this is really important, guys, because I've been asking for like player-owned housing in Destiny 2 now for years. It's little social aspects like this that's a nice little touch on games. New World did it fantastically, giving you access to homes you could purchase in each settlement. And I love that you have that experience here with Wayfinder. Now, similar to New World, yeah, you can actually pad your place out. Add some furniture, put some pets, throw your artifacts in there, your trophies, which by the way gives you daily buffs or items when you interact with them. But not only can you customize your housing, you can also customize your Wayfinder. Now, there are a bunch of pre-unlocked color dyes that you can apply to your character, as well as a bunch of different trinkets to throw on your weapons or characters to enhance their appearance. All these can be unlocked through the game's battle pass, which is known as the reward tower. Now, let me just go over the monetization of this game real quick. First up, if you want to get access to the game right now, you would pay 20 bucks. Now, its battle pass system is broken up into 3 different tiers. First, you have the free path, which simply requires you to play the game, and as you get experience, you'll get tower keys, which you can then use to unlock up to 25 rewards of your choosing. Now, after those initial 25 unlocks, though, you will then have to pay to access all 100, which breaks things down to the paid and premium. Now, premium is where you actually get cosmetics, which are not acquirable in-game, but nothing here is screaming pay to win. Although keep in mind that drip is important, especially in MMOs. You want to look your best, but with this game being free to play, or will be eventually completely free to play outside of folks paying for early access, this is how Wayfinder is planning on monetizing their game. Now that we've gotten some of the basics out of the way, let's talk gameplay loops. And essentially, what are some of the best things Wayfinder has to offer? For me personally, guys, the lost sectors were a huge selling point, which were essentially dungeons inside of Wayfinder, which by the way, all had matchmaking. Now you can queue in solo, or you can queue in and wait for a team. Now most of these are pretty straightforward. You clear gloom-infested zones, you shoot the bad guys, and you try not to die, with an emphasis on you not dying. Matter of fact, the more you die, the less rewards you get at the end of the lost sector, so much so that it can be pointless for you even running the lost sector. Now, here's the other kicker. Your team can't die. So it's not just your own survivability, but everyone's survivability that plays into y'all's rewards. Now, don't worry, you're not going to be thrown to the wolves immediately. The first lost sectors that you do are very, very easy, just serving to onboard you and your teammates. But these things definitely scale. There were moments where my team and I were getting absolutely wrecked. So much so that there was one that we just could not beat. We just had to back out. We were like, all right, we tried getting good. It's not happening. And that's okay, guys. I love it when a game actually will hit you with that wall and say, hey, go out, craft some things, level up, get better, be better, and come back and try again. This game definitely presents those moments. Now, as you progress through multiple lost sectors, you will eventually unlock the ability to add imbuements. These can be added to your lost sector runs. This also amps up the difficulty to your lost sectors. And if you play things like Diablo, you know exactly what this is. It's a double-edged sword, right? Like one of them you get more money, but at the same time you have to kill more ants. There's another one where it added poisonous mushrooms that will apply damage over time unless you destroy them, or enemies becoming enraged when their health becomes low and then explode when you defeat them. But this modifies your loot table, adding that high risk, high reward factor to the game. Now, past a certain point in the main story, you can then combine two imbuements into mutations, which even further scale up the difficulty of the lost sectors. Believe me when I say this, guys, there will come a point where you will be humbled in this game. You have got to get the appropriate level, the appropriate gear to continue to progress. Now, as these lost sectors scale in difficulty, it becomes crucial that you utilize offerings. Once you've loaded in, you'll see a statue at the beginning holding out what looks like a bowl. Here you can offer your imbuements to the statue, which will in turn give you a set defensive bonus. As you play through the game, the lost sectors will start scaling in difficulty, which is why you definitely want to acquire that defensive buff at the start of each one. Now, the power level system in Wayfinders is pretty unique. As you kill enemies and clear lost sectors, you will get XP, as well as artifacts and echoes. Artifacts act as one of the main ways to boost your power level, and combining the correct 3 artifacts will apply a set bonus. You heard that right? Set bonuses? Now, this means you definitely want certain sets when it comes to building out your character. Now, echoes act as a stat booster that can then be applied to your weapons and artifacts. Now, these will provide you things such as bonus health, extra defense against magic attacks, higher break power, the list goes on. Now, if you do get tired of farming lost sectors, Wayfinder has an open world aspect, which other players are running around in. But you can run around, complete various quests, gather resources, memory fragments, and even take on world bosses. And you can find yourself in a public event that opens up into some pretty extensive fights, going as far as to take you to a whole new area. You can see right here, guys, with the art style that they chose when it came to building this world, the developers did a great job utilizing Unreal Engine 5. They really made the in-game world of Evanor look stunning. Like, I don't know what it is, guys, it's just appealing to me. Now, while Wayfinder does excel at multiple things, there are some aspects of the game I wasn't that huge on. As you get into the end game, the gameplay loop does get a tad bit old. You jump into a lost sector, you farm for materials to make new weapons, unlock new Wayfinders, and you level up those weapons and Wayfinders, rinse and repeat. Now, I know the game is currently in early access, but you got to have a true in-game activity. It's hard to stay hooked into an MMO without that purpose, without that in-game activity, whether that's something like raids or just some variation of challenging in-game content. Now, Wayfinder actually dropped a roadmap of sorts, and they do have raids coming, which I'm excited about. Matter of fact, they have an entire roadmap here laying out everything they have planned for the game. That's truly what's going to set Wayfinders up, is that in-game activity. And it probably needs to be multiple in-game activities. Things that truly drop powerful weapons rather than just tedious grinding over and over. The fact that the only way for you to unlock new weapons is through crafting by farming materials takes a lot of excitement out of the game for me. I know, I've got a looter background, but we like seeing that beautiful exotic on the ground and wondering, ooh, what's in there? Now, as far as the open world goes, this too is one of those places that I feel like the developers need to go all out in making this feel truly alive. Not just having just static areas and static zones with ads spawning in on a certain cadence, but truly have these areas feel alive. Don't get me wrong, I like the world bosses and the occasional side quests. And I know this game is just starting out, but you want world events that literally changes the atmosphere. Like, you know, oh my God, things are getting crazy in this area. Like when Odin came in on Final Fantasy 14, you knew it, man. But again, like I said, Wayfinder has a good foundation. It's got it. It just needs to continue improving on those things. Now, before we wrap things up, I do want to address the elephant in the room, which was the thing that I think many people experienced back when this game launched its early access in August. There were some terrible queue times. There's also game crashes, server downtime for maintenance. It was a frustrating experience, but the devs have been fixing these issues one after another. They even took it a step further when they offered one Wayfinder token to unlock a new Wayfinder, 1100 rune silver, which is their in-game currency, and 5 reward tower keys to help progress your battle pass to any members of the community who try to log in during this time period. So if you haven't touched the game since, load it up. You probably have some stuff waiting on you. Now, I do know that this is just part of early access, but as gamers, we don't like to wait, especially when the game is fun to play. And Wayfinders is fun to play. So it sucked when you got in, you actually played it, and you're like, yo, this is actually pretty damn fun. And then you get booted. Luckily though, guys, developers have smoothed things out. Now, with all that being said, said, how does it feel to play this game? Because I've mentioned things like it's fun. I've showed you the different Wayfinders. How does the mechanics feel? I know this game is being labeled as like an MMORPG. To me, it's more of like an ARPG with MMO aspects with a splash of crafting. But I'm a sucker for good gameplay. This is why I say the foundation is good. Combat mechanics felt fluid. Now, we chose Silo as our starting Wayfinder, so most of our time playing was spent using Longshot, which is his signature rifle. But the gunplay was overall very smooth and paired well with several character abilities that he had to offer. And this is coming from someone that just played Remnant 2, guys. I thought Remnant 2's gameplay was so good. One of the best we got this year, especially for third-person shooters. Silo here actually felt really good. Now, the melee combat in this game also is very fluid. The game puts a heavy emphasis on your ability to dish out an onslaught of attacks while perfectly pairing incoming attacks to keep your damage streak going. And the longer you can keep this up, the higher your combo damage multiplier will go, allowing you to deal significant amounts of damage. Now, on top of that, each weapon in this game has its own unique ability that you will be able to unleash after chaining enough light and heavy attacks together. For every 4th consecutive melee attack, you build flourish points. And whenever this bar is full, you'll be able to use your weapon's special ability, which in our case for Longshot was something called Deadeye. Now, this would spawn in Deadeye weak points on an enemy, and shooting these would deal additional damage. All I can say about Wayfinder's gameplay so far, guys, at least first impression wise, is that it feels clean. So guys, there it is. Those are our thoughts on Wayfinder as of now. Again, this is a game we're going to continue to revisit. We want to look to see how this game evolves over time and where it's going to sit when it fully launches. If you're interested in trying out Wayfinder today, guys, there is a link down below that you can check out. We'll also be streaming it this week, so feel free to come by our Twitch. Well, fellas and ladies, thank you all for coming and watching, and as always,
slap that like button like your mama told you right.